Hi, welcome to Sabbath School Daily, where we have been studying from this lesson right here, God's Mission, My Mission. Today, we're studying from lesson number 4, which has the title, Sharing God's Mission, and today's lesson is Sunday's lesson, which has the title, The Gift of Hospitality. Today's lesson revolves around the story found in Genesis chapter 18, verse 1 through 15, which is the beginning of the whole story of the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. This story begins with 3 messengers going by Abraham's house, and he sees them, and at a far off distance, he runs to them, and he basically almost begs them to come and to allow him to serve them. What you find here in Genesis chapter 18, verse 4 and 5 says this, "Please let a little water be brought, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. And I will bring a morsel of bread, that you may refresh your hearts. After that you may pass by, inasmuch as you have come to your servant." This story reveals one of the most basic elements of what it means to be a missionary, which is hospitality. Frequently, we think that being a missionary has to do with just telling people about something, just telling them about doctrines in the Bible. Friends, missionary work begins with hospitality. It starts with making people feel comfortable enough around us in order to listen to what we have to say. So many times we want to tell people what we believe, or we want to tell people why they're wrong and why they have to do things our way, but we forget that the first step is to become their friends. People will hardly listen to you if they don't know you, if they don't understand that you care about them. So here in this story, we see that before Abraham has any idea about who these 3 strangers are, he runs out to them, he offers them service, he offers them water, he makes them feel at home at his house. He didn't know that among them was Jesus Christ. Look at what the book Patriarchs and Prophets has to say in pages 138 and 139. Abraham had seen in his guests only 3 tired wayfarers, little thinking that among them was one whom he might worship without sin. We read this text yesterday, but it's so relevant to our study today because what we find out here is that Abraham was a hospitable host. He didn't go out and serve these 3 strangers to get anything from them, to have anything in return. He did this because he knew how to practice hospitality. He knew how to offer people, how to make people comfortable around him and in his household. In today's lesson, in Sunday's lesson, there's another quote that comes from the book Education, page 187, that says this, "Abraham's great household consisted of more than 1,000 souls, many of them heads of families, and not a few but newly converted from heathenism. Such a great household required a firm hand at the helm. No weak, vacillating methods would suffice. Abraham's influence extended beyond his own household. Wherever he pitched his tent, he set up beside it the altar for sacrifice and worship. When the tent was removed, the altar remained, and many a roving Canaanite, whose knowledge of God had been gained from the life of Abraham, his servant, tarried at the altar to offer sacrifice to Jehovah." What we learn here is that Abraham understood his mission. He knew that God had called him into this land to be a blessing. After all, that's what we find in Genesis chapter 12, God telling Abraham that he would be a blessing. And this is Abraham being a blessing. So how do we translate to our life today? Friends, we have to learn how to be hospitable. We need to learn how to extend the love and the care of the gospel to the people around us. And we have to do it not in a passive way, not in a reactive way, but in an active way. We have to go out. Again, Abraham, he runs out towards these 3 strangers before he has any idea about anything, before he knows that among them is Jesus, before he knows what their mission is or who they are or what they're going to do. This was a hospitable man. He comes and he makes them feel comfortable. So in your life, learn how to do that. Learn how to speak with people without putting up barriers. We're called to be wall breakers, not wall builders. We're called to be bridge makers, not bridge terrors. So wherever you can, make connections with people. I think that one of the major difficulties that we face when it comes to this is that we have this tendency of thinking that if we don't reveal, if we don't make it clear where we stand from the get-go, then we're agreeing with whatever opinions that people have around us. That's not true. You don't have to, as soon as you meet someone, already go to why you disagree with them. Find connecting points. Find the things that you can agree with and work from there. You see, people will listen a lot more to a friend than a random stranger yelling at them. So become people's friends. Before you want to try to convince them of anything else, become their friend. Become someone that they can trust and that they can rely on. That's what God does for us. He's our friend. We can rely on him. He's a companion. And slowly, day by day, he leads us to where we have to be. That's the perfect example of what it means to be a hospitable disciple. Practicing hospitality as we go about our life, allowing people to find comfort, to find refuge in our presence as we find refuge in the presence of the Lord. Truly, it's not our refuge. It's not our presence. It's His presence in our life that makes all the difference. And so, become a hospitable disciple. May the Lord bless you as you study your lesson. Don't forget to look up the Bible verses to meditate on these stories. Friends, there are so many details packed into each of these verses. So many things that we can pull from, learn from, understand from. And so don't forget to set some time apart to spend with the Lord as you meditate on His Word. Please comment down below if you have any questions or any comments. I'd love to interact with you. And also, please remember to like, to share, and to subscribe to our videos. We release one every day, and I hope to see you again here tomorrow for another Sabbath School Daily.